Welcome to All Things Fisker. Tonight, we're on episode 24. Thank you for tuning in on YouTube, as always, and your favorite podcast platform. For those that don't know, we're on Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, etc. So check us out there. As always, we're excited to have you join us. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and the like button as well if you enjoy All Things Fisker. Go ahead and do it now if you haven't already done so. Let's go ahead and have you hit that like button so that we can get to that 75 number well before the end of the show tonight. And don't forget to download the Fisker Audio app. That's right. We have an app on the Apple App Store and Google Play. So go ahead and check that. And be sure to check out Fisker Audio Premium as well. Subscribers like you can help support our site and show. Just visit fiskeraudio.com/premium. Okay, in episode 24 of All Things Fisker, we'll be jumping into the latest updates on Fisker. And boy, there are a lot of them. They all seem to come at once. The floodgates are open. We're going to also dive into our exclusive interview with Henrik Fisker, listen to some sound bites. We'll also unpack that particular interview and discuss the details from our conversation, including the latest update on the EPA front. During the show, we'll be talking about upcoming Fisker Experience Centers set to open at Motorworld Munich, and Fisker winning, I should say, a top award for Best Electric Vehicle. That was actually pretty exciting. We got that news last night. And we'll also touch on Fisker's plan for ramping up production of the Fisker Ocean this week and when European deliveries are expected. More news that came out over the past 24 hours. Joining us tonight, down in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, or on the right-hand corner of the screen, for those that are watching us on YouTube, we have Matt from Ocean Views, Jim from OSR Garage, and Marty from Fisker's Whispers. Welcome, gentlemen. How are you tonight?
Doing great.
Doing good.
Excellent. Thank you very much for joining me. And we're going to be discussing a lot of stuff tonight. But before we dive into the news and the discussion, let's take a moment to see where our viewers are tuning in from tonight. And where is everybody tuning in from tonight? Go ahead and post if you haven't already done so. And while we wait for your responses, let's share today's poll question in the chat. What was the most interesting thing you learned from our interview with Henrik Fisker? You have 4 options to choose from. Latest update on the EPA front. That's the first option. Second option, next experience center to open in Europe. Third option, Fisker's plans for test drives. Last option, upcoming design award announcement. Whoa, he actually gave us a little preview on that one when we got the news last night. So that was actually kind of cool. So go ahead and answer the poll right now. We have, let's see. Oh, somehow the poll was completed. Huh. Interesting. Nevertheless, we'll read the poll results off. You can let us know what you voted in the chat if you didn't have a chance to do that. And let's see where people are tuning in from tonight. We have people in North Carolina, South Philly. We have Ames, Iowa. Todd, welcome. Mission Viejo, Pudgy, hello. Thanks for coming back to the show and listening in and watching. Rosanna, welcome back as well. We have Steven, we have Bill, we have, another Steven. Tasha, welcome. From Minnesota. So we have people from all over. Looks like we have Tommaso as well from Los Angeles. He's our resident Fisker Lounge reporter over there by the Grove. Just kidding. But we do have a fair number of people on tonight from all over the place. So that's pretty cool. We have 76 people watching right now to be exact, and maybe that'll go over 100 in the moments to come. So let's go ahead and dive into the news and the group discussion. So first off, the news. Okay, we had the opportunity, as many of you hopefully know, the video has been watched, 8,000 times or so by now. We had the privilege of interviewing Henrik Fisker on Friday. Super fun, always fun to chat with him. The interview, which lasted about 25 minutes, involved questions from us, right? We wrote questions, and from members and viewers that visit the Fiskerati forums. So if you go to the Fiskerati forums, anytime I have an opportunity to talk with Henrik Fisker, I'm going to post something on there. I might not come out and say, hey, I'm going to interview him, but hey, you have a chance to post questions, maybe ask him anything. What would you ask him? And we got a whole bunch of feedback, and I included some of those questions, in fact, half of them in the interview. Henrik provided an update for Fisker Ocean 1 customers like the last time we talked to him, including the latest news regarding the EPA for U.S. customers. We'll go ahead and talk a little bit more about that in the discussion. He also shared with us some information about the Fisker Ocean software, Apple CarPlay, which I thought was interesting, and Fisker's over-the-air update strategy. Additionally, Henrik shared his thoughts on protecting the paint on his Fisker Ocean and briefly talked about the upcoming European experience centers and what was going to open next. We also talked about Fisker's plan to provide test drives for as many reservation holders as possible across Europe and the United States, despite a limited number of Fisker experience centers. If you haven't seen the interview yet, we highly recommend it. It definitely has some new information in it, and we'll be discussing it tonight in more detail later in this episode. Secondly, Fisker is reportedly setting up an experience center at Motorworld Munich to facilitate deliveries, and the construction is currently underway. A limited edition launch vehicle, the Fisker Ocean 1, was spotted at the site over the weekend in the parking garage, which is below the location. The Experience Center is approximately 50 square meters and will feature iconic Fisker branding on interior walls and have around 20 parking spaces set aside exclusively for Fisker vehicles, presumably to facilitate the delivery of Fisker Ocean 1s to customers in the nearby area. Motorworld Munich is a perfect location for the Fisker Experience Center, as it's a haven for car enthusiasts and several renowned brands on display. Additionally, last summer, Fisker began renovations for a Fisker Lounge showroom just 200 meters away from the Marienplatz in Munich. It's a prestigious shopping area in Munich, and that particular construction is ongoing. And we haven't gotten an update for a while on that one, but that lounge will be open in the future. That'll be one of the first Fisker lounges in Europe. Okay, thirdly, Fisker announced last night that the Fisker Ocean has won the highly coveted 2023 Red Dot Product Design Award for Best Electric Vehicle. Henrik mentioned that on the interview on Friday. The electric SUV was recognized for its stunning appearance, exceptional functionality, and user-friendliness. This award is one of the most sought-after seals of quality for good design since its inception in 1955. Fisker expressed particular pride in winning the Red Dot Design Award as design experts evaluated the Fisker Ocean based on the company's commitment to responsible and sustainable design. Henrik Fisker, the founder of the company, as everyone knows, remarked that every design decision at Fisker supports the mission of moving the world towards cleaner and more sustainable mobility. Henrik Fisker and the Fisker design team are set to accept the Red Dot Award on June 19th, 2023. Lastly, in the press release from last night regarding that design award, there was a one-liner. It discussed Fisker commencing deliveries of the Fisker Ocean in the beginning of May. That's pretty cool. The company aims to start ramping up production of the electric SUV for European customers on April 20th. Well, that looks like it's tomorrow, with production taking place at Magna Steyr's CO2 neutral factory in Graz, Austria. Henrik Fisker, the founder of the company, shared videos on social media earlier today showcasing the installation of batteries at the battery marriage station and the dual e-motors on the Magna Steyr production line, prompting speculation that production may have already begun ramping up. Deliveries for Ocean 1 customers in Europe are just around the corner. All right, there you have it. That's your Fisker news for the week. Okay, guys, let's go ahead and discuss this. Where would you like to begin?
Well, I would like to begin with the machine running. It's nice to see the machine running again. Those videos that Henrik posted, I think we'll probably get to that, but it's nice to see things kind of back in motion and cars coming down the assembly line. So I don't think they just fired up a multi-million-dollar production line for funsies to post to Instagram. I think that this date is for real. I'm a lot happier and more confident than I was. Just the last time we were podcasting, I was a bit cranky even last time. But decidedly, in a much better mood. Looks like things are starting to get on track.
Yeah, let me go ahead and throw up some of that video for us to look at while we chat about it. That's kind of fun. So there it is. That was shared. Actually, today was two videos. I put them together. It's one video on our YouTube page, but that is the Fisker Ocean, and it's being having a battery right now assembled. There's 26 bolts that hold that particular battery in place at the marriage station, and there's actually a conveyor belt behind the camera on the left where the batteries are rolling down. And as each electrical vehicle comes up on the production line, a new battery is grabbed by the machine where it's placed on this particular apparatus, and it's put directly below the Fisker Ocean. It raises up, and each of those 26 bolts are fastened under a minute. It's actually fascinating to watch. And we've seen similar videos like this over, I don't know, the course of the past year or so. And then here we go. We're seeing dual e-motors being installed on the assembly line as well. What are your guys' thoughts, Matt and Jim? Have you guys had a chance to see any of this video today?
It's the first time I'm seeing it.
Yeah,
first time for me too. I haven't had a chance.
Yeah. Just it was about I don't know, say 8 hours ago, 9 hours ago. It was actually pretty neat. Henrik ended up sharing. What did he share here? I just wrote an article about this tonight as I was preparing for tonight's show. I didn't know that he actually did this. I went to his Instagram to see what was there, and he posted the videos from the floor, as everyone can see. And he started off his caption of the videos, I should say, with the words "now." It was basically real time. He's there right now looking at the assembly line, which I saw in the comments of his Instagram, people speculating that maybe production has already started. Now, Fisker mentioned, I don't know, say at the end of March, that they had an intent to start the production, ramping production, I should say, for the European market, for European deliveries. So that was April 20th. That is tomorrow. And believe it or not, if we pull up, let's see here, what time is it in Graz, Austria? Well, right now it's 3:17 a.m. That would be April 20th in Graz. So sometime today in Graz, they're going to start maybe assembling these. That's Fisker's intent. And the comments of Henrik's post, people were speculating, as I mentioned, maybe production's already begun. There was a couple different Fisker Oceans you could see in the video on the line. Are those, what are those for? Are those for, to be sent to Center Plus locations, to lounges, or are those actual customer deliveries, standing there, customer vehicles waiting to be delivered? I'm gonna guess. I have no idea, but I'm gonna guess they're customer deliveries. Why not start a day in advance, right? And I think we talked earlier before the show got started, Marty, that will Fisker do some sort of a press release tomorrow if they start ramping production for the European market for customer deliveries, across Europe, whether it be Denmark, Germany, Norway, etc. What do you guys think? And I have no idea, by the way. Just a guess.
I'm hopeful that they would. We're got to remind everybody that we're getting things, back in gear. It's been kind of silent, and with a 428 anticipated date for EU homologation, gotta stay in front of people and remind them that cars are just a couple of weeks away. We've kind of been, some would say we're a little behind. Some would say, relative to other manufacturers, we're doing okay. But the cars on the road is really going to make all the difference.
Yeah, it'll give a lot of people confidence, certainly, seeing cars on the road, and it'll be free advertising, if you will. Granted, nothing's free, but Fisker, there's nothing more powerful than word of mouth, and nothing more powerful than people seeing believing. And wow, I heard about the Fisker Ocean, or maybe I don't know about the Fisker Ocean. What's that? Didn't they have a car way long ago? What was that all about? And oh wow, now they're back on the road. This is pretty cool. I'm going to go check it out. I think it'll create a lot of excitement, and I think Fisker believes it's going to create a lot of excitement. And I'm actually excited to see them. And who knows? Maybe we'll get to go to Europe in the future, and maybe we'll get to see some of these Fisker Oceans on the road. I think that would be pretty cool. And then certainly it'd be cool to see them here in San Diego. And then where you guys are dotted around too, Chicago, North Carolina, and Florida, or I should say Illinois. Sorry, Jim. So what do you think, Matt and Jim? What do you think about the intent to start the ramp for European deliveries? Do you think Fisker is going to nail that date tomorrow, today, whatever you want to say? That rhymes.
I don't know. They most of the time, whenever they put out a date, they've generally hit it or been right real close when they've talked about it. So I wouldn't expect any less if they don't hit it, that specific date. Then to probably be within the week, I would assume.
Yeah,
and I guess also it depends on how many they're producing on the line too. Is it just 1 a day, 10 a day? You know, it could be anything. So we don't know how the ramp is going to go.
We don't know. We do not know how the ramp is going to go. That is so true. You know, can Fisker do 26 a day? Can they do 250 a day?
Yeah.
What's the number? You know, we've projected all sorts of different things, all of them educated guesses, you know, based on what we've read and what we've heard. But there's, you know, no definitive answer. The only definitive answer is what Fisker knows, and maybe they'll share that with us in the near future. But yeah, a press release I think would be a neat thing. I have seen Fisker do back-to-back press releases. It's not common, but it is possible that they do another one. We had one last night, and I thought the one last night was actually interesting. I have been expecting a press release. In fact, we were told from Henrik Fisker on the interview on Friday that we were going to get some sort of a PR for the design award. We didn't know what the design award was going to be about, but we knew there was going to be some sort of a PR, a press release for it. And I was checking every night. Last night, I went upstairs to go watch the on-demand version of American Idol, because I didn't watch it this weekend. Yes, I watched American Idol. I enjoy American Idol. Okay, and I ended up watching that last night, and I was checking my phone, and I'm like, what? I get an email that says, hey, a press release was just published to the investor relations site, or the Fisker newsroom, or whatever it is. You know, all that's public. Anyone can go check it out. Anyone can subscribe to them. And I got it, and it was 9:01. I got it, and I thought, 9:01. Normally these things come out at like 12:01 or sometimes 3:30 in the morning. And I've never seen one come out so early. Or I'm sure they have, but I can't remember in the past, in the distant, you know, in the recent past. And I thought, okay, well, looks like I got to start writing up an article. Much better, I should say, to get something that's at 9:30 at night, or 9 whatever time it came out, than 9:01. Versus, you know, 3:30 in the morning, because that's practically when I should be sleeping. So I think whoever published that one while I was still awake, it made it really easy to watch the second part of the American Idol episode and write an article. So speaking of that design award, the design award actually I thought was pretty cool. I had never personally heard of the Red Dot Design Award before, and I ended up going to the Red Dot Design website and pulled up some information about it. Have any of you ever heard of the Red Dot Design Award?
No,
I've vaguely heard of it, but you know, it was a while ago.
Yeah, well, I guess it's been going on since 1955. That's how old it is. And as I mentioned at the get-go, that Fisker ended up receiving the Best Electric Vehicle 2023 award. And the thing that I thought was kind of interesting that I ended up writing about last night, the Red Dot Design Award is one of the largest design competitions globally. And its aim is to recognize good design. Just simple, good design. Yeah. The Red Dot label has gained worldwide recognition as a quality mark for good design. To assess the wide range of designs professionally, the Red Dot Design Award divides into 3 disciplines. The 3 disciplines of the Red Dot Design Award are product design, brands and communication design, and design concept. The competitions for each discipline are held annually, and Fisker ended up entering their flagship electric SUV, the Fisker Ocean, into the worldwide competition. And there were over 50 design experts from around the world that evaluated the all-electric Fisker Ocean. And they compared it to the other vehicles that also entered the competition in 4 key design qualities: product function, aesthetics, ease of use, and responsibility/sustainability. And as we all know, Fisker ended up winning an award for that. So I thought that was actually pretty cool. And the press release last night ended up going on to say that the Fisker Ocean is going to be on display at the Red Dot Design Museum, and it'll be on display from June 2023 to May 2024. And as I mentioned earlier, Fisker is going to accept the award on June 19th, 2023. So maybe around the same time it'll be available at the museum. I think that's pretty neat. I doubt I'm going to be flying to Europe to go to the museum. There is the I think it's the Peterson. I don't know, what is it? The Peterson Museum in Los Angeles, and the Fisker Ocean's over there with the art car. And I still haven't had an opportunity to go see that, but I do know Tommaso shared some really cool photos with us of that art car on his visit to it. And I'm guessing it's going to be something similar. They'll have the car on display. People can walk around it, look at it, take pictures of it and things like that. And then in that press release about the award was about the deliveries, right? There was that one sentence. So they wrote the whole press release about the award, the Red Dot Award, the design award. The whole thing was about that. Henrik was actually even quoted saying that he always believed that great design can change lives because it's an emotional experience. He said that we're honored by our peers in the design community for recognizing the Fisker Ocean. With this vehicle, we strive to create a well-balanced sculptural surface that exudes a powerful road presence. Our goal for the Fisker Ocean was for everything about it, the exterior, the interior, the technology features, to be simple, intuitive, and delightful. Really cool press release. There's that one-liner at the bottom, nothing else. Fisker, quote, Fisker looks forward to commencing deliveries in the beginning of May. That's kind of mind-blowing. That was it. They didn't talk anything else about it, but that was enough to create some excitement today. And yeah, what do you guys think of the award? So you never heard of Red Dot. I personally never heard of Red Dot. It's been around since the 50s. Did you guys look into it? Have you read anything about it? What do you think, Marty?
I did, and I just have got two items on it. One of them, somebody had posted that the product must be produced between 2021 and June 1st, 2023. So even if you don't believe Fisker, the press release, the Instagram posts, everything everyone's saying, in order to qualify for the award, that product has to be produced by June 1st, 2023. So, I don't know that they would just award that on that assumption without strongly knowing or being advised that the product is in production or going into production or will be produced between now and that time frame. The other one was somebody had commented, oh, what's the big deal? Canoe won it in 2020, and that's fine. We can be compared to Canoe, we can be compared to Rivian and any number of other automakers, but also Apple won it in 2015 with the Apple Watch, and I think they won it with the phone even long before then. So whether we go the Canoe route or we go the Apple route, I'm fine with that. That's a coin flip I'm willing to take a shot at, and we're definitely different, I think, than that particular product that was referenced. But
what do you think, Matt? Do you have any thoughts on the award?
And also, did we mention the award was specifically for electric vehicle? Because I just noticed that on there. Yeah, best electric vehicle. I think I did read some other vehicles won the Red Dot Award too, but for other categories. So, but still, it's pretty impressive to get that. So, why not?
I agree. Yeah, why not? It's like, what's the worst of winning an award? You win an award. Like how bad is that? How
downside
is that? Right? It's a good thing. Yeah, it's a good thing. It creates excitement, and it shows that the company's doing things that are recognized by the industry. And we all know Henrik Fisker is a designer. It's what he is. He's a designer. Of course, he's the CEO of the company, but he's a designer. He loves designing things, and he got an accolade from the design community that he's proud of, and his design team's proud of. So. Pretty cool. We're excited. Congratulations to the team there. Pretty cool. So moving on. Over the weekend, we ended up receiving some photos from Munich from a reader who was on the ground over at Motorworld Munich. And Motorworld Munich is a pretty interesting place. Motorworld in general, that organization, I don't know if anyone knows anything about it, but it's like they got amazing cars always on display. They have like Lamborghinis and Porsches and Bugattis and Mercedes, BMW, you name it. It's probably they probably have one on display. They have restaurants on site. They have hotel on site. They have places for people to store their cars on site. And lo and behold, and they're dotted all over Europe, right? They're all over the place. They're not just in Munich. In fact, Fisker had one, I believe, in Cologne. There's a Motorworld Cologne, and Fisker had a pop-up location there, and we got to see it, and it was on like a rotating platform, and it unfortunately didn't give people a great opportunity to get in it and get super up close to it, because it kind of had like the velvet rope. But they were over there in Cologne, Germany, and now Fisker is deepening their partnership, obviously, with Motorworld, and they're going to have some sort of an experience center at the Cologne Munich, the Motorworld Munich. And we got photos of the Fisker Ocean 1 in the parking garage below the Fisker Experience Center. And it doesn't look like it's a Fisker lounge. It looks more like a Fisker Center Plus than a lounge. And I don't know how much service is going to be going on there, but there's definitely going to be deliveries from what we've been told. And there's 20 parking spaces reserved with Fisker placards in the garage. The Fisker Ocean 1 was down there, had that one badge on the back. It was silver lining, I believe, 22-inch slipstream wheels and Black Abyss Plus interior. And the construction going on up above the parking garage, you could see, the storefront of the Experience Center have a big Fisker logo, lots of Fisker branding on the exterior and interior. You have a Clean Future for All splashed on one wall, Fisker on the other, white and orange colors, and you have a big coming soon, message splashed on, vertically on the windows, very much like we saw over in Copenhagen and in Vienna. So it was pretty neat. And if we go back to the interview on Friday, Henrik did break some news down for us, or give us some breaking news, if you will, on what the next experience centers were going to be. He said Germany, and then I believe he said Norway. So there is, in fact, a experience center being developed in Oslo. We know that from I think last year. And I've been told by a few people who follow everybody on LinkedIn, and they said that there's people who have been hired to actually run the Oslo Experience Center. So there's a store manager there. They're hired. Things are on track there. Obviously, we haven't heard anything officially. This is all, just people doing, CSI type investigations on the internet. That's what you do, right? You do the CSI investigations. You have fun, and you find out some cool stuff. We do the same thing. And I don't know. Let me see if I can pull up the photos from the Motorworld. They're kind of cool looking, and we can chat about them. Did you guys see any of those photos? If I can find them here, let's see. Here we go. Throw them up on the screen, and here is my screen for those people that are following us along on the YouTube. Here we go. Here is the first photo. That is the exterior of the Experience Center at Motorworld. And you can see it's conveniently placed by the men and women's restroom. For those that are actually going to the location, it's right next to it. You can see, the little yellow signage, and then right above on that big, massive beam, you have the circular restroom logo there for the people that end up going to the location. So super convenient. The Motorworld is a pretty cool experience. And as you can see on that particular angle, there is also, from the looks of it, a Fisker Ocean in the window. We didn't get any pictures of that particular Fisker Ocean. Why, I have no idea. But we did get the one that was in the parking garage. And here it is, in fact. So you have the Fisker Ocean in Fisker Ocean 1, I should say, in silver lining. We have that badge over there. This color to me looks stunning. Now, I can't quite figure out And I've seen this time and time again on vehicles that have been, that brand new vehicles that are made. There's the string hanging out the back of them with like a little, little loop, and at the very bottom of it. I have no idea what this is, other than maybe to open the car if you don't have the key. Maybe the keys for the vehicle are put inside. Maybe the vehicle's locked. Maybe the only way to get into it is to pull the little loop on the string. I'm probably wrong. Do you guys have any idea what that string is hanging out of the back of the vehicle?
Oh, Marty does.
Yeah,
I thought it was a car tampon, but I didn't want to say anything out of line or off color. I got jokes. They're not all funny, but I have them.
Hey, you're a sit-down comedian.
Yeah,
that's what we tell my brother.
We have seen that on a couple of cars, and no one's been able to explain it. So that's my best.
Yeah. I'm guessing it's to open up the vehicle from the rear, and then you climb in from the back to unlock the door. That's my guess. But
it could be like attached to the emergency release, so just to manually operate it. But if anything is going to get Fisker to do a press release, probably the comment I just made, just to dispel that rumor.
That's funny. Maybe somebody knows in the chat who's following along. If anybody knows what that string is with the little loop at the bottom, is it to open the car? Is it to do what? We have no idea. Let us know your thoughts. So that's one photo of it, and then we'll go to the next one. We've got the front profile, and there's this little bit of I don't know what it's called, but there's like a sticker that's over the left driver fender, the front fender. And I can't read what it is, but there's a sticker on the paint. I'm guessing it has to do something with the charging port, but not on the charging port. Not sure. But this is obviously going to be on display for people to go take a look at. So our vehicles, when they're delivered, they're probably not going to have tape on the sides that explain what it is. And then also we have the side profile. And as you can see, it's conveniently parked here where people can then take their mobile device, their camera, and snap a photo of the QR code, and they're taken to the Fisker website to learn more about the Fisker Ocean. You have the calipers painted in blue. That's a really cool feature. And my personal opinion, the best color that you can get to really show off those blue calipers is the night drive exterior. No, I'm just kidding. But no, I really believe that, because that's the color that I got. So, all right. And here we go. One more. This is one other shot of the experience center being built out. So there's like two sections. One section has a Fisker Ocean in it, and then the other one has some sort of empty area here. Maybe it's going to have desks. Maybe it'll eventually have different samples of paint colors on painted metal chips. Maybe it'll have something for wheels to look at different wheels, as well as different different fabrics like the Alcantara or the Eco fabric, etc. So that's it. And I don't know if people can tell, or if you guys can tell here, but if you look at the reflection, you can see how cool it is. Like the reflection, I can't exactly make it out, other than possibly a Lamborghini or a Corvette or something in here. But there's like a whole row of vehicles on a second floor that are stacked. Maybe a Mercedes, maybe a Porsche right here, a red Porsche. You have another something right here. Can't tell quite exactly what it is, but there's loads of cars stacked up directly behind the person who actually took the photos. And thank you very much for doing that. You know who you are. So that's what we got there. Any thoughts on this? I've been babbling and rambling on and on about this, but I'm excited about this particular location. This will be number 3. We have Copenhagen, Vienna, and then Munich. And then the next one after that is likely to be Oslo. So what are you guys' thoughts? Anything here? Have you been to a Motorworld? Have you seen what they are? Do you know how cool they are?
Nope, never been.
Well, check it out. Go to the Motorworld website. There's lots of cool photos of their it's actually pretty cool. Maybe I should pull it up and just show you how cool it is here. Let me see if I can throw this up here. That is probably the coolest place for a car enthusiast because there is just stacks and stacks of cars on. Let's see if I can find quick photos of it here. Motorworld Munich. Here we go. Let's throw this up. If it loads. Okay, here we go. Sharing this screen here. Let's see if we can see it. So here is the Munich location. And let's see if it has any images on it. There's not going to be loads of stuff. No, just have to talk about the hotel. Oh, there's all sorts of videos. I'll let you guys check this out, but it's totally worth checking out. It's actually a really cool, it's actually a destination for looking at vehicles. And it's just like rows and rows stacked on top of one another. And I can't see any images. Maybe there'll be one here that pops up here, but it's just super cool place. Yeah, anyhow, that's Motorworld. Let's move on. Let's go ahead and talk about now let's talk about the Henrik Fisker interview. Let's dive into that. Let's unpack that and discuss that for a moment. Did any of you have a chance to look at that? Did you watch it? Anybody?
Yeah.
Cool. That was a fun one, and they're all fun, but that was especially fun because we haven't had an update from Fisker in quite a while. And the floor was theirs to talk about and share anything that they thought was important. The most important thing, I think, and Henrik probably would agree, is giving an update, obviously, to everybody about the Fisker Ocean. The whole interview was about the Fisker Ocean. That's how I started it off. It was to get an update on the Fisker Ocean. Granted, there's lots of things that people would love to have an update on, but the focus is all about the Fisker Ocean. That's what we focus mostly on at Fiskerati, and that's personally what's most interesting to me is what's going on with the Fisker Ocean. Obviously, I have two Fisker Oceans on pre-order: the Fisker Ocean 1, the Fisker Ocean Sport, and I wish that the vehicles were going to be delivered first here in the United States, but they're not. They're going to be actually delivered first in Europe. They're going to start production likely tomorrow or today if you're in Graz, Austria. And that's really what Henrik started the interview off with. He ended up saying that, hey, I know everybody wants to know when their Fisker Ocean is going to be delivered, but he unfortunately isn't able to give any specifics on that, as they have to start ramping up production so that they can mass produce the vehicle. And then obviously for us here in the United States, they're going to have to ship them over, and then they're going to have to deliver them or have us go pick them up. We have opted for the home delivery, but if there's an option to go up to Los Angeles from where we're located, we'll drive up there and check it out. So we got an update on that. He gave us a couple updates on a feature that many of us probably know already is included with the Fisker Ocean. One, we got to hear about the rear organizer, the rear flap that goes over the back. It can kind of fold up, and he talked about being able to use it to put grocery shopping bags on. So it's like a nice, convenient way to leverage the space in the back use it however, whatever you're making use of the rear for. So it's like a storage compartment / cover, and that's been thrown in for quite some time on that Fisker Ocean configurator. But he talked about that. He kind of kicked things off with that. Then he talked about the key and how they're making the key extremely light. It's going to be made out of aluminum, and that's pretty cool. And we saw a couple early indications that you shared, Matt, of a key. We saw a couple different keys in photos, then you shared them. And I thought that was actually pretty cool. So he talked about, being able to, they want obviously to have a super light key. And I should say, this particular key here, I have this key. It's actually, you think it looks light, but it's actually kind of heavy for a key. And it's made out of all plastic, and there's probably a massive battery in here. It's actually not massive, but it's a battery that sits down below. it'd be interesting to see how this compares. And, but for me, I carry my key in my pocket everywhere I go, except for when I'm running. When I run, this is my key. And for many people that get a Fisker Ocean, this is going to be their key. So you won't need to lug around a physical key. So weight really doesn't matter. But Fisker Henrik talked about the key and how they designed that to try to make it super light. And I thought that was kind of a little fun tidbit that we probably didn't know before, or at least I didn't know. And then he ended up giving us the EPA update, or a status from the EPA front. So I thought that was pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and play a little clip right now, and then we'll go ahead and talk about it, because I thought this was actually kind of interesting. So let's take a look at this.
News on the EPA front, actually. They've sort of changed a little bit the direction of what they normally do. So normally in the US, you yourself go to an independent, or you meaning a car company goes to normally an independent group that tests vehicles, and you do various tests as required by the EPA, and then you submit all the documents and wait for them to look through all these documents. Well, we just got to know this week, so that's some breaking news to you here, that the EPA are now changing to wanting to themselves test all new EV entrants cars. I don't know exactly why, so don't ask me why that's changed, but the requirement that we just got told. So we have just prepped to ship a car over to the US early next week, as fast as we can, to their laboratory. So EPA will now test the Fisker Ocean themselves. And I mean, I don't know, but it could be that we get the results quicker than them looking through all our documents. At least I hope so, because they obviously got the car in their own hands and can verify everything that happens. So I'm looking forward to that. Let's see how it goes. It should be over there next week, and probably, well, we ship it next week, and we do fly it over, so it goes as quick as possible.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it probably won't arrive next week, but the week after. So here in April, it should arrive and get moving. So I'm quite happy about that. But so that's a new development that has kind of changed from how normally you submit the documents to get your EPA range. And as maybe not everybody knows, but is that you have to have the official EPA approved range until you can actually deliver cars in the US.
So there you have it. You heard it directly from Henrik. He talked about the EPA update for US customers, for US certification from the EPA in order to start selling vehicles. And that was for us some new news. We knew they ended up completing all the tests from the press release earlier in the month. I think it was the 6th of April or thereabouts. And we ended up learning just on Friday that the EPA is requesting a car to be delivered in order to run their own tests. And then Marty shared with me a little bit earlier that the Henrik actually came on to StockTwits, I guess, this afternoon. And I guess there's some people trying to mislead some of the users on that platform. And he ended up saying this is shocking. But there's a lot of people who spread fear, uncertainty, and doubt, or what is short FUD, on that platform and across a lot of platforms. And it's real sad that people do that. But Henrik came on and he ended up saying, this is a quote, unquote, but it's, quote, "No need to mislead," directly from EPA official 3. EPA confirmatory testing. Currently, EPA performs confirmatory testing on all new light-duty electric vehicles and plug-in hybrid vehicles at EPA's emission testing laboratory in Ann Arbor, Michigan. If the manufacturer makes changes to an EV or PHEV that was previously tested at the EPA will decide on a case-by-case basis whether additional EPA confirmatory testing is needed, end quote. So he came online to talk about that today because people said, no, you're making things up. The EPA doesn't require this, or this isn't new. And why are you telling lies? And he says, no, you're you person who's spreading misinformation on that platform. He said, no, you're basically misleading people, and here's the details. What are your thoughts on this, gentlemen? Do you guys have any takes on this?
Well, he also there's other comment on there following up on that was that the car's already out. Car's already either there or on its way. So
Excellent.
That's encouraging. And when he said the same thing in the interview, he said it's going to be out early next week. It's now midweek this week, so that's in line. Obviously,
and it's going to be shipped over on an airplane or air freighted, which I thought was interesting. I didn't know that they could do that, but I guess they can do that. That's actually pretty cool, like a one-off. Ooh, fly it over.
And even though he hasn't been particularly engaged, it's nice to see him re-engage now on Instagram and on stock twits, and kind of he's obviously reading a lot of the comments and catching up on things. So it's nice to see him be kind of front and center, because for a while there is staying mum, but now I think that we're getting closer to launching in the EU. We're going to see a lot more Henrik.
What about you, Matt?
I'd like to add that I think a lot of people have noted that the EPA requires, if they want to see the vehicle in person, that's been known for like at least a year now. So it shouldn't be that much of a surprise, but I don't think they're doing it that often. So this, hopefully they can get it all looked at. And somebody in the comments mentioned that it needs to go through a 3,500 mile test. So I don't know how long that takes to do, if it's like running 24/7, to get, the data that they need, probably. I know they do it on an indoor, setup.
Like a dynometer, right?
Like a dynometer type of thing.
Yep.
So they have absolute control over everything. And I think they also do some track stuff too with it. I think they have a track thing too, but I don't know the details on it.
Yeah, I've never heard of anything about 3,500 miles, but that sounds interesting. But yeah, I know they use a dynometer from I've tried looking up this information on the EPA website. I've tried in the past. I think I mentioned in an article that I've tried looking up like the timeline for EPA approval and certification, and they talk about the process, but they don't give a timeline. And it's just really hard to find information on there. So looking for information about this, very difficult.
It's kind of a black box, we
is.
don't know it until it comes out. So
that's right. What about you, Jim? You got any thoughts on this?
Not too much. I mean, we've just talked about, it's done on a dyno and it's in a controlled area. And I think when we first talked about this, probably maybe a year ago, we were talking about Magna, and Out of Spec was actually at Magna, and they showed their setup in there where they actually can do the EPA, the WLTPA, or WLTP, whatever, and whatever the China one is. They can do all of those testings there and get their preliminary findings that they submit. So they probably have done this multiple different times over the past year. So if they're giving us numbers, they're going to be probably pretty close to what the EPA gives us.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's go ahead and talk about the one thing that I thought was interesting. There's been a lot of chat. So moving on. So we talked about EPA update. That was probably the biggest news, if you will, from the interview. That was right at the beginning during the Fisker Ocean 1 customer update. And I then, asked a bunch of other questions. One of the questions I thought was interesting had to do with the software. We've seen loads of videos now. Matt posted one on his channel. I posted one that I received from one of our viewers, and it got quite a lot of views, a lot of positive feedback. I would say 95% of the feedback was positive. 5% people said, mean things and things that, I won't repeat here. But those people probably don't even have a Fisker Ocean reservation. They probably don't even have a Fisker Ocean pre-ordered. They just like to cause trouble. But the software's actually been well received, I think, based on all the feedback that most of the feedback that I've read from people who actually have confirmed with me that they have a pre-order or reservation. They're pleasantly surprised based on from what we've heard. So we talked about the software. He told us that his favorite feature is the mini map. And we've seen the different mini maps in different places. And I think we saw in one of the videos that I shared, the mini map was not working in that particular video, maybe because the vehicle didn't have access to the internet. I think we talked about that last week, Matt. And you saw just a little box and it said TomTom underneath it. It didn't actually have a map in it. But that map, according to Henrik, it kind of follows you around no matter where you go. And it's always easy to get back to because he believes with their design research that people want the map. The map's where, the main thing that they want to see. And I'll attest to that with our vehicles that we've had. I love seeing the map wherever we are driving around. And before I had a map, I always had to have two things. Before we had the map on the car, I always had my iPhone propped up somewhere with Google Maps, or I had it on audio telling me which direction to go. It's very nice to have not use my phone and see a screen and being able to navigate around wherever we need to go. That's really cool. Before I had my iPhone, so it didn't have the screen, didn't have my iPhone with Google Maps. Before that, I had like MapQuest. That was awful. And those were paper instructions. And that was a bear to drive around using paper instructions, but that's how things work. And that was cool back then when you could print off directions out of the computer, out of the printer, and be able to have those with you. Before that, you just had a map or a Thomas guide. When I was delivering pizzas in high school, all I had was a Thomas guide. And I got to race around our town and had to look up the address of where I was going. And today's day and age with LCDs or displays on the screen and having maps, it's super cool and super fun. It's super easy and intuitive to be able to find where you want to go and how to get there. So I thought that was interesting. Maps, a big feature. That's where I'm getting at. Maps is an important feature. Henrik's favorite feature, the mini map throughout the vehicle. We also talked about over-the-air updates and the frequency of them throughout what we should expect. And he basically said that there's no set time for pushing out over-the-air updates. In essence, whenever they have an update, they'll push it out. So that's good news. They don't have to do one per quarter, one per month, blah blah blah. They can just push them out as they need them. So that's another exciting thing. So we can constantly expect to see iterative software updates, iterative improvements as time goes on and on. So now I want to actually pull up a little snippet. I ended up asking him not only about what his favorite feature was on the software, but also wanted him to talk briefly about Apple CarPlay, as that has always been a hot topic across the Fiskerati forums and Twitter and other places, because people for some reason love Apple CarPlay. My wife had a VW Jetta and it had Apple CarPlay, and we never set it up. So we went a whole, year and a half, 2 years, however long she owned the vehicle, without using Apple CarPlay. So I didn't get a chance to really see it in action or get to use it. So I'm not missing anything. But let's go ahead and listen to him and what he has to say about Apple CarPlay, and we'll talk about it.
So let me start with Apple CarPlay. We actually have already made this vehicle ready to support Apple CarPlay, and you have to get in touch with Apple. You have to do the preparation. So we have already made that ready. However, we felt that our software and our UI is so good that we don't need Apple CarPlay. And I say that right now because maybe we get a whole bunch of people saying, we still like it better. Who knows? But we want to take a risk here, as we do as entrepreneurs. And we want to come out with this, I think, pretty cool UI. And there is some advantage by not having Apple CarPlay for us, of course, because that means that we, the brand and the company, constantly interact with our customers directly from our brand, show our brand values and how we like to do things. And I think you might have seen the press that there is some other car companies that's going that direction as well. But I'm open to change that. We have made it ready for it. So let's see what our first customers think about our UI, if they still think it's needed. So again, let's see how that goes. Now, in terms of my favorite features, so one of the things that I, always notice when I drive in a car, and I kind of notice a lot of people do as well, is you kind of tend, even if you have your music or you have different things you can look at in the car, the rate, like special calculation of how you're driving or whatever it might be, you kind of always end up with the map.
All right. So that's what he had to say about the Apple CarPlay. I should have stopped the clip a little earlier, but I started talking about the map, so I had to let him finish. All right. So what do you guys think about Apple CarPlay? What do you think about his thoughts on how it's already in the software? It's just not enabled yet. What are your thoughts, Matt?
I would say it's probably similar to how Polestar did it with the Polestar 2. The first year they had the Android Automotive system, and they didn't have CarPlay or Android Auto, but now they do. So I think it can be just added later on. It can be, I think it's kind of trivial. But it's interesting that he wants to know, what the request, of the owners is going to be. Like how many people. I wonder if he could put it up for a vote.
I just threw up for a vote right now.
Yeah.
I said, what do you think of Apple CarPlay? Do you like Apple CarPlay? Just out of curiosity. I'm sure a lot of people don't have an iPhone that watch us here. It's probably 50-50 Android versus iOS. But if you have an Apple device or you use CarPlay, do you like Apple CarPlay?
And I must admit, my wife likes it in her Volvo. She uses it all the time because she loves using the Waze app and SiriusXM and some of the other apps she likes to use on it. So, and it seems fairly easy to use. My car, my Tesla, I added a CarPlay box last month that allows me to have CarPlay on the main screen. And it does some... it connects to the phone and it does a hotspot with the phone, and it just kind of Bluetooth transfers everything to the car. So it's kind of neat to have that. So I think the next time I go on a trip using like a better route planner and like SiriusXM and some of the other apps that aren't built into the Tesla software, it's kind of nice to have those extra features. But who knows? I mean, I think a lot of these apps are going to be part of the Android operating system anyway. So I don't know how much more CarPlay gets for you, but I guess we'll see.
So what about you, Jim? Have you ever used Apple CarPlay?
No, I have an Android phone. So, but we use our Android Auto in every vehicle that we're in, whether it has its own navigation or not. Except for in the cases if it has battery preconditioning built into the car through the in-screen navigation, you'll definitely want to use that navigation to take benefit of that. The one downfall, main reason that we use it is for the Google Maps, and we know that the Google Maps actually tracks everywhere that you go, and it's so easy just to hit a button and it pops down everywhere that you've been, and you can just select it and go. And I know the other maps would probably do that also, but we've had issues with other navigations that we live, like I said, living here in Central Illinois in the Midwest, we have a lot of open spaces, a lot of country roads, and a lot of these navigation systems don't recognize the country roads, and one of them is a better route planner. When I try to use that, it makes me basically take straight highways where I'm like, I can shave a half an hour off if I take these country roads across here, so, and a lot of the navigation systems are that way. Google Maps seems to have all the roads there, and it's actually the only one so far that if you plug our address in, it'll actually bring you here. The rest of them drop you off some other country road on the other side of town. So we just trust it, and so that's why we always use it.
Yeah, I had a similar experience at the very beginning when Apple Maps launched. I thought, okay, I'm going to try out Apple Maps. I've been using Google Maps forever, and I ended up getting always dropped off in the wrong place or taken to the wrong address wherever I was going. And I'm sure the app has improved greatly since then. I do have, and I run daily, as maybe some people know, and I use an app called Runkeeper, and they use the native map on this particular device, which happens to be Apple Maps. If I had an Android device, likely it would be Google Maps, and it always does everything fine. All the streets look fine whenever I look at it, and no issues. So I think the Apple Maps has certainly improved from 10 years ago or whenever it launched. But I've never really used Apple CarPlay, other than maybe I've seen it when I've had a rental car or something like that, but I've never really used it.
That's it.
Hey, I want to add real quick, since the TomTom is going to be the mapping system in the Ocean, I wonder how it's going to compare to Google Maps, and if you could use Google Maps as another app on the system. Obviously, if it had CarPlay, you could run any of the mapping software, but I'm really interested to see how good the TomTom system is.
Been around forever, right? They used to have the devices at rental car.
Oh yeah, I had the little one that went in the car.
They always tried to upsell you on, do you want to rent a TomTom? And it plugged into the cigarette lighter, which many cars don't have these days, and you had the little suction cup, and you stuck it to the front of your window, and you would, listen to the turn-by-turn directions with a little tiny LCD screen, right? So
Simple
I think
times.
obviously, they clearly have the mapping data, and I'm sure it's going to be a great mapping product, but I haven't used it in forever. And I think they might actually, I want to say I've seen some sort of a watch that you can wear. Maybe it's for running or for something where it's a TomTom or has TomTom maps. Might be a running watch. I can't remember, but there's something. TomTom's doing more than just supplying map data to automotive companies. They have their hands in a lot of things, I have a feeling, if I recall.
Yeah.
But what about you, Marty? You have any thoughts on Apple CarPlay?
Yeah, no, I think it does. You just mentioned it just comes down to data. I read recently that GM is moving away from CarPlay, and other manufacturers are kind of going native or trying to push that in that direction. There's just a lot of money in the data, and when you control that data, that makes you, I guess, presumably more profitable rather than going in one of the other directions. So we'll see how it shakes out. Consumers king, so to speak. But let's give the Fisker UI a try. And I have an iPhone, but don't use it. I've had experiences like you, or maybe on a rental car or something like that. But for the most part, I've just got my phone in my hand all the time. Anyway.
Me too. And the poll. So I asked the poll, do you like Apple CarPlay? 35 votes. So maybe that's the only people who end up actually watching us that have an iPhone. I think there's like 120 people on. So 35 people voted. And of those people, 57% said no, they do not like Apple CarPlay. 42% said yes, they like Apple CarPlay. So you could say that's close to, it's definitely not 50-50, but pretty even for the total number of people. And let's go ahead and throw this out here. Don't forget to hit that like button. We would love for you to hit the like button right now. We're at 52 likes. So in the count of 3, if you could please go ahead and hit the like button. 1, 2, 3. Please press the like button if you're enjoying all things Fisker tonight. Your likes help share the video with other people who are also interested in Fisker. So please take just 2 seconds to hit the like button. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. I think there's also a join button there too. If you want to join and help support the channel, you can hit the join button there, or you can head over to the fiskerati.com/premium and you can become a subscriber there. That helps remove the ads off the site, and you end up getting some of those fun articles that I write only for people who are subscribers. So thank you for reminding me, Marty, to ask people to hit the like button. Hit that like button. So for everybody, last episode, we said, hey, if we get 75 likes, we're going to tell you something pretty exciting. And what we were going to share with you was that we were going to speak to Henrik Fisker on Friday. And we did get the likes. I didn't tell you who we were going to speak to, but I said there's going to be something exciting on Friday. So we might have some extra special fun thing to tell you tonight, or maybe we don't if we end up getting 75 likes.
Wow.
We'll make something up.
Yeah, right. So let's go to the next thing. I thought this was kind of a fun one. Interesting, actually. Something that we didn't know before. Henrik shared with us in that interview that Silver Lining, that particular color, was potentially going to get canceled. I don't know if anybody caught that, but he said that it's been extremely hard to do color matching. So if, based on what he said that at Magnastera, at the factory where everything gets assembled, they have a paint booth there, and they paint at that particular booth the body of the vehicle, and they paint the doors. All that's painted at Magna. However, other facilities, different facilities, paint different parts on the car, such as the bumpers. Those are painted at a different facility. So when they bring bumpers from, facility B to facility A and try to match them up and install them with the vehicle and the doors, I guess at one point they might not have been matching exactly right. Henrik said he wants the matching of the color to be perfect. And I think that's what every customer would expect. They would expect the bumper, the color of the bumper, to be exactly the same as the hood or the doors or the fenders or whatever it may be. So at one point they were having trouble color matching, even though all of us have already maybe reserved, some of us have pre-ordered the Fisker Ocean. I chose Night Drive. Matt chose Mariana. I think you, Marty, may have chose Big Sur Blue. Is that right?
That's right.
So we've chosen different colors, and none of us chose Silver Lining, thank God. But good news, he said, they actually got the go-ahead to proceed with Silver Lining. So there was a period of time where they were going to scrap that color, and they would have to have gone out to a whole bunch of customers and said, hey, we couldn't quite get the color to match. So that was kind of interesting. So let's go ahead and hear from...
Before we leave that, I want to add something real quick.
Oh, yeah, so does Jim.
There's a little background to that with the paint for metallic surfaces versus the plastic and rubber parts is different formulations. So it is actually quite tough to match them. If you look around in a parking lot, there's especially white cars, the bumpers almost never match the body because of sometimes the reflection on plastic and rubber parts doesn't quite match the metal ones. And also the tinting of it and everything like that. So it's definitely a true thing that it is tough to match.
What about you, Jim? What do you know about the color matching? Mute. Gotta go on unmute. There you are.
So where I work is a cabinet factory. So we stain doors, we paint doors, and paint kitchens and all that stuff. So what can happen is we have the same paint formulation, and we have two different shifts painting. If two different shifts paint the exact same kitchen, and they have one door and we have one door, guaranteed I can put them next to each other, and they probably are not going to match. Even though the paint, they're spraying out of the same paint bucket, you get two different people spraying. So that has something to do with it, especially when it's coming from a different place. So different things are being sprayed different ways. The other thing is, and like Matt said, the lighter the color, the harder it is to paint match. The darker colors like the Mariana or the gray, what was the gray one? I can't remember.
Horizon Gray. Yeah, Horizon Gray.
Right, the Horizon Gray, like you say, you see those in different lighting, and they have a little different look to them, a little bit more blue, a little bit more gray, and a lot of those are tri-coat paints, especially ones that may have a little pearl in them. And we had a Mazda 6 that had the white with a pearl essence in it, and we had to have a bumper fixed or a fender fixed one time, and the body shop couldn't match it. It looked fine when the sun wasn't on it in the dark or in your garage or whatever, but as soon as that sun hit it and you saw that pearl in the rest of the car, and then the rest of the bumpers all looked white. So yeah, it is really tough to paint match those. And the Silver Lining we've seen too, and it's the same way. Sometimes it looks a little blue, sometimes it looks really silver, sometimes it looks gray. Any of those colors that do stuff like that, it is really hard to paint match them because the light and the lighting in there just really makes a huge difference.
And silver lining is kind of a light color when you compare it to all the dark blues that are available for the Fisker Ocean, at least the launch colors, right? So yeah, so that's that I thought was interesting. That was an interesting tidbit. And then there was the tidbit, and some people didn't care for this. Hey, why are you asking questions about maintaining paint? Like, why do you care about how Henrik protects the color of his, the exterior paint on his Fisker Ocean? Why do I ask that? Because I care. And I want to protect the paint on my Fisker Ocean. That's why I asked that question. And it was also submitted to the Fiskerati forum. So I thought, hey, I'm going to ask this one because it's been debated and talked about forever, especially Big Sur Blue. That's the color you have, Marty. Like, people wanted to know, like, what's the best way to protect it? I wanted to hear Fisker Henrik say, you should get paint protection film, or you should use ceramic coating. That's what I was hoping he would say, but I didn't hear that. He said this. Let's go ahead and listen to it.
But I think generally, I believe in cars should be driven. And of course, you're eventually going to see some usage. I think maybe the best way to save the paint for longer lasting is simply by having your car hand washed or hand wash it yourself.
Got it.
Because, going through these automated machine washers does wear the paint quicker. There's no doubt about it. So I think that's the biggest advice I can give. I do it with my own cars, making sure not to go through these high pressure and where they slam the paint with the brushes and so on. So that's definitely something that takes on the paint, no doubt about it.
So you're not getting out there every Saturday morning with a cup of coffee and a bagel or a donut and waxing, the car, wax on, wax off, or do you do that type of stuff?
Well, I get up at 4 a.m. right now to work on this project. So I actually can't take myself an hour to wax my car. But I also would tell you this: you don't need for sure to wax the matte paint. And I don't think on our metallic paints, maybe on the non-metallic paints, you could wax them. But no, I actually haven't done that for a long time. I just haven't had time to do that, quite frankly. Or I would have to do it so early in the morning that it's dark, or when I come back and it's also dark.
I could totally imagine. So that was what he had to say about your car. So, he recommends, the pro tip from Henrik Fisker is hand wash your car. That's what he recommends. He doesn't recommend, getting the paint protection film. He didn't recommend ceramic coating. He didn't, recommend, constant waxing of the car, things like that. Those are all the things. If you go to your local automotive shop, they try to sell you all that stuff. There's all sorts of waxes and polishes and coatings and different things you can do. But he's just like, the car's meant to be used, meant to be driven. It's going to have wear and tear on it. That's the car, right? And he did. So basically, the pro tip is hand wash your car. Don't run it through a machine. Yep. And that's good to know. We heard it straight from Henrik. He did say for people who have Big Sur Blue paint, that particular exterior, you're going to get care maintenance instructions with your paint color. And who knows what those are going to be, but you're going to get some sort of care instructions. He did say that when the vehicles are shipped over from Graz, Austria to to the United States, to North America, they had to develop a special car cover for them so that it did not have any friction. It didn't have any rubbing, because as we all know, with a matte color, if you start rubbing the paint, swirling it, rubbing it, you end up getting shiny areas, right? The matte becomes polished and you'll end up having a very weird look. So they needed to protect the paint during transport, and they ended up having to come up with a creative way to protect them. So it'll be interesting to see if maybe we will never see what the special, way they protect the cars with the covers or wrappings or whatever it may be, but something tells me we'll probably see some in some video at some point. And I can't remember with the shipping container, the shipping vessel, what is that shipping vessel called that went to Long Beach?
Oh man, it's not the Kobayashi Maru. That's something out of Star Trek, but it's something like that because it was a Japanese flagged.
That's right.
I can't remember.
So that particular vehicle, we saw a whole bunch.
It was Poseidon something, wasn't it?
Yes, Poseidon Leader. Yeah. There you go, Poseidon Leader.
Yeah.
We saw a whole bunch of Fisker Oceans coming off, and they all had like a white car cover on them. But I can't recall what was, if any of them were Big Sur Blue or not. So anyhow, I think at some point we'll get to see them, and maybe we'll get to see more come off a vessel. But until then, best thing you can do when you take your delivery of your car, remember to hand wash it. Don't run it through a machine with brushes that swirl the paint. And for us who have night drive, there's nothing worse, at least in my opinion, seeing all those swirl marks and black paint. Oh, they're awful.
That was one of the things that led me off of the night drive, which was going to be, we were going to have identical cars, maybe different of wheels, but for the longest time, I'm like, triple black. I'm going with black. But at the end of the day, sometimes it gets a little hot here in Florida. And the other thing really is, if it gets a little swirly, but we'll see who has the worst paint idea, a couple of years from now, how they hold up. But right now, my strategy for the car I'm in is just to leave a nice thin layer of dirt on it. It protects the paint perfectly. Just don't just drive it and don't wash it.
Don't wash it. Yeah, don't wash it.
I think Matt went washed, man. That's it.
Matt went with the good color. He went with the Mariana. So it's the metallic Big Sur Blue color. So we got a little bit of best of both worlds. But yeah, that was kind of fun. So that was our other update that we got from him. We did some talk around pricing of the vehicle. We talked about, there was, for a period of time, there was a lot of people who thought the options, like Jim, you thought the options were outrageously priced for the wheels and the paint and the interior. So I posed that question to him because a lot of the people that watch this show and a lot of people that read the Fisker Audi site are people in the market to purchase the Fisker Ocean, and some have already reserved the Fisker Ocean. So there was always a lot of comments on the articles, and then some, back and forth banter in forum about the cost of different, optional upgrades. And he talked about that and said, they're priced right, more or less. In essence, they're priced right. They were priced back in, the car it was priced back in, I think, 2020, the Fisker Ocean base price. And as everyone knows, the base price hasn't changed. If you like the car the way it comes without any optional upgrades, you're sticking to the base price. It's just when you start adding in those other features, things could get expensive, but they're not required, they're optional. So he talked about that for a bit. It was overall, I thought, a good, good interview. It was 25 minutes long. We went through, I think, 10 questions, and the first question being the longest, that update for Fisker Ocean One customers. And the most positive thing I thought is he said that, hey, all 5,000 Fisker Ocean customers, they're still on track to deliver the Fisker Oceans by September. So that was really good news as somebody who has pre-ordered the Fisker Ocean One. So that's it for that particular part of the show. We did our deep dive on the interview. I'm sure we'll talk more about that at some point, but that's what we have for now. In the future, if you want to participate in the formulation of questions, I'll go ahead and post something to the Fisker Audi forum, and you guys can, people that watch the show, people listening on the podcast can go there and post questions, and we'll end up taking and pulling from that question bank. That's how we do it. So that's how we do all of the interviews. Anytime we've interviewed anybody, it's always been asking people that watch the show, asking people who read the site for the questions. So that's how we always do it. People might not like the responses that, our guests give us, but the questions come from you, the audience. Okay. That's how it works. So if you don't like the answer, don't pose the question, because you don't know what you're going to get. So that's that. Hopefully you guys had fun tonight. We got some cool stuff that we're going to talk about now. Now we have some notable EV news, right, Jim? We got some notable EV news. As you're talking about some of these things, I'll throw up some pictures. I'm going to go through the chat and see if there's any questions for us to look at. Let me go ahead and throw up the first article that you have here. Let's see what we got. We got the first one. We have Rivian. Got something going on at Rivian. Let's see what it is. So our notable EV news, we talk about what's happening, just so everyone is staying tuned with what's going on. Here we go. Here's the first one, Rivian. The title is Rivian to become profitable in 2024, launch cheaper R2 model a year later. The estimates were revealed by the brand's CFO. That is the headline. What's this about, Jim?
So it seems like they're saying they're going to be profitable in 2024, which is actually a little faster than I think people expected them to. And that might be partially because of the kind of split with Amazon, being exclusive with Amazon, that they might be sending more trucks and have some orders for the vans in other places. So that might have something to do with it. But this R2 version that they're bringing out is going to, like I said, it says it's going to be a little bit cheaper. It's probably going to might be a little bit smaller, thinking maybe like Maverick, Ford Maverick size. But it's just, I thought it was interesting that they said that they're going to be profitable, already. So
yeah,
that's good news for them.
That is. And speaking of profitability, Tommaso, who's in the chat right now, thank you, Tommaso. I just saw you said Poseidon leader. In the chat, he actually did in the Fiskarati forums a poll, and he ended up asking the question, Fisker versus Rivian profitability. And there is a poll in there right now, and I'm going to go ahead and post that in the chat for the people that want to partake in that. You can go ahead and click the link that's in the live chat on the YouTube live stream. And it basically asks the question, which company will be profitable first? Only 14 people voted so far, but we have Fisker with 12 votes. Granted, it's a Fiskarati forums, and most people probably follow Fisker, but there are a fair number of people in the forum that have a Fisker reservation and a Rivian reservation. So 12 people, 85.7% of the people say Fisker will be profitable first. Rivian, one person voted, 7.1%. 0 people voted for they'll both be profitable in the same quarter, and 1 person also voted neither will ever achieve profitability. So go ahead and take the poll, and if you're interested, it's there for you. All right, the next article that we have here is something about Tesla from the looks of it. Let's see what, oh, not that one. That's the poll, and here is the Tesla article. It says, let's zoom it in here and see what it says. It says, U.S. Tesla reduced Model 3, Model Y prices again by $2,000 to $3,000. The Tesla Model 3 RWD starts at $39,990. Model Y AWD starts at $46,990. What's this one all about, Jim?
So we know that they've been dropping prices left and right pretty much since the beginning of the year. And actually, towards the end of last year, they started dropping their prices. And I think it was about a couple of weeks ago, they dropped prices in across seas, I think in China. But they said there probably wasn't going to be any more drops for the U.S., but apparently they have dropped it a little bit more. And now, I mean, a Tesla Model 3 for $40,000. I mean, originally it was supposed to be the $35,000 car. I don't think that you can get that at all now, but and it was even hard to get then. But $40,000, that's a really good price, especially even if they get a partial tax credit. And the Model Y, I mean, that's $7,000 more, so you're looking at a $47,000 Model Y. That's actually really good pricing. So
that is a pretty good price, I would say. I think that falls kind of in line based on the videos that you did in the past, I would say, with the Fisker Ocean Ultra. I would say that's kind of comparable with the $49,999 price.
Yeah.
So it's I think it's good. It's definitely more, I guess, competitive with some of the other vehicles out there. And that also doesn't include the full self-driving or the performance boost and things like that.
Right.
So those are upgrades.
The enhanced autopilot. That's not including any.
Or the enhanced autopilot, correct?
So.
Or even upgraded wheels, or upgraded interior, or choosing an upgraded optional paint color. Right, all that's extra. So the Fisker Ocean Ultra comes in at 49. I think it's like 900, 49,999, somewhere thereabouts. Say 50,000. So slightly more, but. There's obviously a lot of competition out there for Fisker. Tesla's making it harder for everybody. And I think they're now bringing their price of their Model Y more comparable with what I believe is comparable to the Ultra, the Fisker Ocean Ultra. So, all right, let's do the next one. The next one.
Tesla's really driving the prices down. It's pushing on these EV companies to bring the market down. And we're seeing, market prices on used EVs falling. So I don't know if it's going to pick up soon or not.
Yeah, and our Model 3, which we're planning to sell to help fund the Fisker Ocean, is dropping, consistently on a monthly basis. So it is what it is. Not much we can do. It's out of our control. So we go with whatever happens, and that's it. But still planning to sell it through a private party. That's still the plan. Okay, we got another story up here. This one's VW. So it says VW unveils more powerful and efficient rear drive motor for ID EVs. And we also shared something, I think it was the ID7 we talked about, Matt, in the forum earlier this week. So what's this one all about, Jim? This unveiling of more powerful and efficient rear drive motor.
Yeah, so the original motors that they were using in the ID3 and the ID4 produced 201 horsepower, and I think it was like 280 or 290 foot-pounds of torque. So this one actually is putting out 281 horsepower and 405 foot-pounds of torque. And the way that it works is it's internally using half of the power than what the previous motor was using, which means it's doubling the efficiency of that motor. So we should see, like the ID7, the rear-wheel drive is going to get over 300 miles of range on the exact same battery pack that they're using in the ID4. So if they start using these motors, which I think they said 2024, I think, or later this year, they're going to start using these in all across the whole ID line. And that's going to increase everything, the horsepower and everything on even the ID4s, but it's also going to increase their range. So don't be surprised if you don't see the ID4s later this year or beginning of next year start pushing over 300 miles of range. And they're saying with the dual motor setup, you're going to lose a little, probably maybe 10 or 20 miles of range on that. And then Europe is also going to have a bigger battery option that's going to push it over 350 miles. But the biggest thing about this engine, this motor that they're using now, is that they cut the power that they needed in half and are producing more horsepower out of it. So it's pretty cool. It's a pretty efficient engine.
That's cool. Thanks for sharing that one. Yeah, we talked a little bit about ID7 and how that's coming out in the next couple of years. And I think it's first going to Europe and then going to the United States. And that's going to be more, I think, in line of like a Tesla Model 3 type competitor from what I gathered. But still pretty neat. Now, okay, let's thank you very much for sharing these notable EV news things. A couple of things that are interesting. We're got a couple questions here that we can answer. There's not much. Thanks, Marty, for compiling those. But I went through and looked. Couldn't find too many. There's some funny things that people are talking about in the chat. In the forums, for the people that haven't gone to the forums, I ended up posting a whole bunch of videos in there today. I want to thank our friends out in Copenhagen for sharing a whole bunch of videos today. They're on the YouTube channel. I posted them to the forum, but like we got videos of the Fisker Ocean steering wheel doing like the telescoping and the tilting and things like that. All that, I don't know what it is, like a 30-second video, but pretty cool to see. I haven't seen the telescoping and the tilting yet. So there's a video on that. There's a video with the rear seats declining. That was kind of an interesting one, pressing that button. I know those were in the Fisker Ocean in Paris, but I don't recall anybody ever actually filming it and seeing them actually recline. So that was kind of fun. We also got to see the audio system, again, a little bit more of the audio system and controlling different spots in the car, tapping on the display and hearing the audio play from various, aspects of the vehicle, various sections of the vehicle. So that would be like maybe the hypersound. And it's really hard to capture, the audio. I can't wait to make a video myself with a variety of different music sitting in the car and, seeing what it sounds like on an iPhone, or maybe I'll get a GoPro at some point. Maybe I can afford one of those. The funny thing, we also got a video of, what else did we get? We got the video of the solar sky roof closing and the rear glass closing. So that was kind of neat. We've always seen the Fisker Ocean in videos that Fisker produces of the solar sky roof opening and shutting. We didn't see it open in this video, but we saw it closing, and we saw the rear window kind of sliding up. And if I recall, that rear window, which is kind of interesting, it wasn't tinted. Now, the vehicle is supposedly going to come with privacy glass on the rear of the vehicle, but if I had the option, personally, I would prefer just all non-privacy glass on any of the windows, and give me the option to add that in the future if I want to. I like the see-through, looking through the having all clear windows. I like that look better than having the back windows tinted and the front two not tinted, because it kind of makes me obligated to go get those front ones tinted to make them match the others. So I prefer everything not being tinted. But anyhow, there's some videos on there if anyone hasn't seen them yet. That was kind of fun. Now, Marty ended up finding two questions in the thread here. He says, what is the capacity that Fisker has for increasing its production? So we did an article about this a long time ago. I forgot the exact numbers, but Fisker has, I guess the easiest way, you can go to Google and Google Fisker production, and you'll probably find the Fiskerati article that I wrote. But I ended up taking it from a couple different investor presentations where Henrik talked about the capacity and the ability to increase capacity if demand was there. I can't think of right off the top of my head what the current ramp-up schedule is. As we all discussed earlier in tonight's episode, we don't know what it is. Are they going to build 1 car a day, 25 a day, 250 a day? I believe the total max capacity of the line is going to be somewhere around 50,000 vehicles in the year. I think it was like 7,000. My mind says something like, or my memory serves me as like 7,250 is like the total max, and that's like maxing everything out. And that may even require a second shift or a third shift or something like that. Don't quote me exactly on those. There is an article that I wrote that talks about that. And obviously, Fisker's going to, Henrik said in the interview, they have the ability to throttle up and down the amount of vehicles they're producing based on the demand. So it's all based on demand. How many people want the Fisker Ocean Extreme, the Ultra, the Sport? Those are the pecking order of how they're going to produce the vehicles. So first comes 5,000 Fisker Ocean ones. Once those are totally built, they're going to then go to Extreme, then Ultra, and then Sport. And things might be a little different. They might end up, if they have a lot of demand for I should say, I don't know what the divide is between the Ocean ones in Europe versus North America. So I don't know if it's a 50-50 or 75-25. So once they're done, my guess would be producing the Ocean ones for Europe. Maybe they'll build some Extremes for Europe. And then when Fisker has the go-ahead, they said possibly the first week of May, they're going to start production for the US market. So they'll crank out the Fisker Ocean ones, and then they'll move to the Extremes. And then when they got all the demand met for that, they'll go to the Ultra and the Sport. So as we said earlier in tonight's episode, as these vehicles hit the road, it's very likely that people go, oh, wow, that's a cool car. I want to go check it out. They'll head over to Fisker's site, and they'll reserve or pre-order a Fisker Ocean, maybe Extreme or Ultra or Sport, etc. So that's kind of all we know about capacity ramping. Definitely go to either Google or go to the Fiskerati site and type in production, type in ramping. You'll get a whole bunch of results, and you'll probably find the right one at the first or second result. The next question we have here is, will Fisker have better build quality than Tesla? Okay, we all probably have a different opinion. I'll start off here. And then Matt, you have a Tesla, and I think, I don't know what car you drive, Marty, but Jim, I think you have a Mustang. So you have recently tested, though, I think, the Tesla. So my experience with Tesla, I had a very well-built vehicle. I don't know exactly in the growth or the ramp of production At Tesla, my vehicle was built, but I got it in August. I think June, July, August of 2022, 2021, maybe 2021. I don't know. It's coming up maybe on 2 years. So our vehicle is actually pretty nice. I don't see gaps where people have complained about gaps in certain parts of the vehicle. I like how the interior looks. Everything, is together. Nothing. We got about 17,500 miles on it, 18,000 miles, somewhere thereabouts. Nothing's falling apart. I think it's a good car. I'm happy with it. With the Fisker Oceans that I've seen in Graz, Austria myself, I thought the build quality was exceptional. I thought it was very similar to the car that I have in the garage. There was nothing on it that I thought, wow, that's not built great. That's my first take on it. I did mention in a couple videos when I did the live stream over at Fully Charged Live San Diego, first time I saw Fisker Ocean was the early prototype, and that car had traveled all around the United States, and it had some issues, but that was more of just being an early prototype. Like there was condensation in some of the lights, but that was an early prototype that wasn't built by Magna. That was more just to market and to gain interest and to give people a chance to see a Fisker Ocean in person. So I've had good experience with the Tesla build quality, everything that I've seen in person, and I've sat in 2 pre-production vehicles in Graz, Austria, both of them exceptional. And that's an opinion of one, but that's my honest take. Nat, what's your take from everything that you've seen?
Some people call it the Tesla lottery because the quality control is inconsistent, to say the least.
Okay.
My car is an early 2018 VIN 14,000. So about 10 months after start of production, I was around the 14,000th car. So they were still being built like very small. It wasn't as mass production as they are now. My paint is excellent. The body is really good. I don't have any the car's going to turn 5 years old next month, and it's no creaks or anything. I have had my share of parts breaking. I have a whole video on that probably coming up for the 5-year birthday. But it's all been fixed by service, and it is kind of annoying to have. I have had 12 service visits in 5 years, which is more than any car I've ever owned. So it's a little disappointing with that. But they did fix everything, and everything was covered under warranty when I was under warranty. So have
you had any issues with the car after the warranty expired or no?
Yes, I had the front upper control arms for the suspension. They basically, they usually give out around 50,000 miles. And if you can get it when it's under warranty, it's great. But mine was just over like 55, and I had to pay for it myself. And that was a few $100s. Got it.
And out of curiosity, did you have to leave the car over there overnight, or did they give you a rental car?
They very rarely give rental cars anymore, and they used to give Uber all the time, but now they even cut off Uber and Lyft. I'm lucky. I live 4 miles from the service center, so I can get, it wasn't bad, but they got it done. I dropped it off at like 8:30 in the morning, and by like 10:30 it was done. So it was actually pretty decent. So, but I must say, Tesla mobile service is amazing, where they come to your house or your work. I've never had a bad, those guys are really good. I've always had a great, a service call with that. It's the service centers that lately they're just so overcrowded, and you go there and there's like 60, 70 cars there ready to be serviced every day. And it's like crazy.
Got it. Jim or Marty, you have any thoughts on quality? Or
I don't have a lot of experience with Tesla. I drove a buddy of mine's years and years ago. But I know it's like you say, the lottery. It's, things are hit or miss. But the cars that I saw, and those are production intent vehicles, and as Miami, it's the same car. Miami and Orlando. I thought it was great. I drive a BMW 4 Series right now. The seats in the Fisker Ocean, and I don't even know if those the final seats or not, much more comfortable. Obviously, the 4 Series is more of a sporty ride and sporty suspension and so on and so forth. But I'll definitely give you feedback once I have a chance to drive one.
Yeah, and speaking of that, real quick, I didn't even mention on the interview with Henrik, he did talk about pop-up location test drive or test drive pop-up
Yes,
location.
that's right. I
thought that was actually kind of
huge news because that's you're bringing
you're bringing the cars to people to test drive. I think that's good. That's the asset-light approach to not having a bunch of storefronts everywhere, right? They're going to have center pluses dotted around for distribution and service, but they're not going to be everywhere. So for people that aren't where there's a center plus or a Fisker Lounge, which right now we know there's the one being built out over in the Grove in Los Angeles, people are going to be given a chance at some point to test drive a Fisker Ocean, likely when it gets certified by the APA. And that's what we also heard from people locally in Copenhagen and Vienna, that the test drives would be available as soon as they got the European approval, if you will, so that they can sell the cars and then they can do test drives. So, more to come there. That's going to be an exciting moment when you start seeing videos pop up, or people maybe send us videos to post on our YouTube channels of them doing a test drive in the Fisker Ocean, and people will be able to see, someone other than, me driving on the track, or there's not too many people that filmed test driving a Fisker Ocean. I'm one of the few that I believe. So it'll be neat to see other people and what their reactions are, and it's neat. And they'll have, at that time, my guess is they'll end up having the final, not the final, because it's always can be tweaked, right? There's always over-the-air updates, but the most up-to-date software where you have maybe a more rear-wheel drive biased vehicle, and it'll be neat to see what everyone's reaction is. So more to come on that. So pop-up locations, I forgot about that. Pop-up location test drive area, test drive pop-up locations. That's pretty neat. The other question that we had, I guess that might be the only other question. There really wasn't many questions tonight. Jim, do you have anything you wanted to add about build quality of any cars in general? Just thoughts on that?
Well, the Tesla that I had was 2012, so that was like the first year of their Model S's, and I went over that car and I showed it in my video. There was a few places that looked like it might have been a little wide, but it may have just been the build itself. That's how it was. I really didn't see any major issues with it. Plus, being in the first year, they probably did a really good job of going over those cars to make sure these $80,000, $100,000 cars that they were sending out their first year were good. Because that's what you want, word of mouth. You don't want to send out cars that everybody's complaining about, because then they're going to stop buy them. So that one was really good. And really lately I haven't heard as much about like the panel gaps and stuff, as I've heard that their paint in some areas is really thin. So that's really all I got to say about about that. That's just what I've been hearing recently.
Yeah, that's good to know. So build quality, more to come on that. But if I recall, there was one thing Henrik said. He said that they're going to be manually inspecting or physically inspecting each vehicle before it's shipped to customers. So they're going to end up doing their own inspection at the Magna factory. They're not going to accept it from Magna. So Magna's going to produce it. It's going to roll off the line. They're going to give it to Fisker, wherever Fisker's staging room is, or whatever the room's called. Fisker's going to be able to do a full inspection, walk around the vehicle, look inside of it, make sure everything's perfect, top notch, because Henrik wants perfection, as we learned with the silver lining exterior and the color matching. So they're going to make sure it's perfect. If they think it's perfect, it then goes to the customer. So we should expect the vehicles to be really nice and not have any issues when we take delivery of them. That's our expectation. We do have a question. Thank you, Rosanna, for posting your question. You said, any car care products that you guys recommend or are good to use? Go for it, guys. What do you have? Jim, you're shaking your head yes.
Yeah, I did comment on that. I use Meguiar's pretty much exclusively. There's a few other products that I will use if I can't get a hold of Meguiar's on certain areas. But yeah, pretty much Meguiar's, anything is pretty good, pretty top notch. After that, I would say Mother's. Mother's would be my backup if I needed to get something. But yeah, McGuire's has a good round group of products, and they're not overly expensive. They're actually a relatively decent price, and you can get them at Walmart. So
yeah. So Matt, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I just brought some over. I have a ceramic coating on my car, so I use the CarPro products. So they have like a whole line of different, different depending on what you're doing. Like this one's a detailer, this one's the car shampoo, and it's good for a ceramic finish, so it doesn't hurt the finish or strip it, because some soaps can if you don't use the right ones. So since I plan on getting ceramic on my car, that's what I consider important. So
yep. And I am also going to get a paint protection film on mine, possibly the entire thing wrapped, also possibly just the high impact areas. And then if I go that route, I'll end up getting the ceramic coating on top of the paint protection film.
Oh.
If for some reason I don't go with the paint protection film, I'm just going to do the ceramic coating throughout the whole exterior, paint of the car. They even, believe it or not, I've read that they do ceramic coating for windows to help repel water and dust and things like that. So that was kind of interesting. As far as maintaining the car, I've done lots of research on this. As some people may know, I've been only washing our current car when it rains. I've been going out, pulling the car. That's how infrequently we wash the car. I said, when I get the Fisker Ocean, I'm going to have to definitely wash it more frequently. But washing a car in the rain's fun, other than it's freezing outside. But what I would do if I didn't have beautiful rain showers outside is I would have two buckets, and you would have one bucket with the soap and water, and then you have like another bucket with just water to rinse out. So you wash your car and you constantly use the buckets to decontaminate your scrubber, your washing rag or your washing glove. And every time you dip it in soap and wash your car, you put it in the bucket that has like a little grate at the bottom to make sure that you brush off all the dirt before you put it in the soapy bucket. So you have multiple buckets. Today I was at Costco to get a few different bits, including pizza that I ended up having before tonight's show. If you haven't tried the Costco pizza, it's pretty good for $10. The neat thing they had on sale there today was Chemical Guys car care products. They had two buckets. They had the grates. They had the shampoo. They had conditioner. They had the hand mitt. They had the a chamois. They had it all for, I think it was like $49. So if you have a Costco membership, that's always worth checking out. Whatever they have on hand there. Every location is probably slightly different. But that was Chemical Guys there. And then Amazon obviously has loads of everything. They probably have the Pro products that you mentioned, Matt. They probably have Jim's McGuire products. And I know for a fact they have the Chemical Guys product because I purchased them there before. So there's a lot of companies out there that make stuff. And, we'll test out a couple. Maybe we'll end up getting some, free of charge so that we can test them out. And we can do a little wax over here and a little wax here and see which holds up better. That'd be kind of a fun thing if anybody ends up sending us some. So that's my take. Do you have any thoughts, Marty? Do you do any car care on your vehicle, your BMW?
Yeah. Once upon a time when I had a single family home before condo life, I would regularly wash and wax and detail my car painstakingly, slowly, very carefully. I had a Jaguar XK convertible at that time, and I loved that car, but it kind of fell by the wayside. Now I'm one of those idiots that just drives through a car wash now, but that will happen. Yeah, that's obviously going to not hold up, here shortly when I get the Ocean One.
Yeah, because of the Big Sur Blue. That's definitely not going to work. Yep. For the people that are wondering why you can't go through a car wash. And you can go through a car wash. Like I would recommend, if you were to go through a car wash, the best ones to go through are the brushless automated car washes. We have one down the street. That's the one that I run the Tesla through once a year. And it just shoots like Henrik said, high pressured water. Not good for the paint. Still not good for the paint, according to Henrik. But we haven't found any swirl marks or anything in our paint. It still looks nice. It's just it shoots water in like all the different places you probably don't want water with high pressure hose. But the car comes out relatively clean. But the reason, to your point, Marty, in condo life, we live in a condo or a townhouse, whatever you want to call this thing. We're not actually allowed for our CC&Rs to actually wash our car at home. So I get away with it by going out when it rains to wash the car. So that's the reason people are wondering, like, well, what an idiot. He goes out there to wash the car in the rain. The reason is because we're technically not allowed to go out and wash the car because we use too much water, and it's community water, and you're not supposed to waste it. Yeah. So I go out there in the rain so people can't complain that I'm wasting water. That's why I do it. But it's also fun. It's something to do. And then I go sit in the jacuzzi down the street when I'm done and get all warmed up again because it's freezing cold. That's another fun thing, sitting in the jacuzzi when it's raining. So for the people, go get a Costco pizza, go sit in the jacuzzi when it rains, get some chemical guy stuff from Costco. There you go. There's some pro tips for you tonight.
Sounds like a great date night. All right.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. So anything else that we want to talk about tonight on all things Fisker? We have still, believe it or not, 99 people are watching us.
I got one thing.
Yeah, fire away.
One of our contributors from, I'm not sure if it was the Vienna or the Copenhagen location that was answering the questions. They were talking to the service people or customer service at the showroom, and they were saying that the inside handle, which a lot of people were complaining about was plastic, is going to be replaced in production with metal. So they are going to use metal pull handles on the inside.
Yeah, I did read that.
So that's really good because a lot of people had thought that it felt kind of cheap on the inside. So that's good. I think that means that they're listening or just continually looking for ways to improve.
Yeah,
that is good. Thanks for sharing that. That is good. All right, so I think let's see here. They're going through. I don't see too many other questions about the Fisker Ocean that we can answer at this time. So everybody, thank you very much for joining us tonight. Hopefully you had a good time. Geez, the time has flown again, and we've already been on here for close to 2 hours. So we're going to go ahead and post this.
Sorry, it's my fault.
Oh, yeah, that's probably my fault. I'm the one that talks all the time. But thank you, gentlemen, for joining us. Thank everybody for spending tonight with us for a couple of hours talking about all things Fisker. I'm going to post this to the podcast for people to listen to if they want to listen to it, and it'll be on there in probably the next hour or so. So thank you everybody for San Diego. This is All Things Fisker episode 24. We'll see you next week if there's something to talk about. Have a good night.
See you guys.